Months ago here in New York City and revealing that owners today did not ask players to do what the president wants them to do, to stand during the national anthem. Moments ago, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell saying they were not asked to stand, and players who were there at the meetings saying progress was made on bringing attention to the reasons some were kneeling about in the first place. There were protests outside this high-stakes meeting, and ABC's Adrian Bankert leading us off.
Late today, the NFL commissioner coming before cameras to say he did not ask the players to do what the president wants them to do, stand for the national anthem.
We did not ask for that.
Today, team owners met face-to-face with players at NFL headquarters in New York. Both sides saying it's a step in the right direction.
This was the first time we've gotten a chance to really sit down in front of ownership. We felt like they were receptive. We felt like there was real dialogue.
We spent today talking about the issues that our players have been trying to bring attention to.
It comes after President Trump said this.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired.
Today, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who says his players must stand or be benched, confronted by a protester.
Look at the videos of the police getting away with murder and tell me that the players are wrong to protest it.
Darius Butler of the Colts, who has taken a knee in solidarity with protests of racial injustice, says players will make their own call.
It's going to be an individual choice, but I think the ownership and the team and the league is, and the players, I think we're all going in the right direction.
And Adrian Bankert joins us live from New York City tonight outside those meetings. And Adrian, the question tonight, is this final? They're planning on more meetings?
You know what? They are planning on more meetings. The owners and players are expected to get together again to discuss this specifically within the next couple of weeks. But they've got to come up with something definitive. There are still a lot of fans out there who believe that players who kneel are disrespecting the anthem and the military. David?
But so far, Adrian, as you point out, the owners have not asked those players to stand. Adrian Bankert tonight leading us off. Thank you. Next tonight, the other fast-moving headline, and it involves health care. President Trump seeming to reverse course within a matter of hours. Earlier today, calling Obamacare virtually dead after his decision to slash more than $7 billion in subsidies to help working-class families. Then two senators announcing they have a bipartisan fix to save those subsidies for now. And late today, the president says he now supports the idea. ABC's Mary Bruce on the Hill.
In the Oval Office this morning, President Trump declared Obamacare is on its last leg.
Obamacare is virtually dead.
Just 5 days ago, he cut off $7 billion in subsidies that help lower-income Americans, people who make too much to qualify for Medicaid but still need help paying for their coverage. Americans like Nevada retiree Marcy Shelton.
I am not a deadbeat. I pay my bills. I've worked hard all of my life. This is what I was told, that this was going to be there for me.
6 million Americans benefit from these subsidies. Nearly 70% of them live in states that voted for Trump. But the president today described the payments as a handout to insurance companies.
This is money that goes to the insurance companies to line their pockets, to raise up their stock prices, and they've had a record run.
But just minutes later, he seemed to back a new bipartisan deal to restore those same payments.
The solution will be for about a year or 2 years, and it'll get us over this intermediate hump.
The deal, hammered out by Republican Lamar Alexander and Democrat Patty Murray, would extend the subsidies for another 2 years in exchange for giving states more flexibility to design their own plans.
This agreement avoids chaos, and I don't know a Democrat or a Republican who benefits from chaos.
The deal would also provide more funding to help people enroll in Obamacare.
The president had been sabotaging this bill, and the agreement would undo much of that sabotage.
Mary Bruce joins us from Capitol Hill tonight. And Mary, the president just moved to slash these subsidies. It came in the middle of the night, late last week. Then today, this morning, saying Obamacare is all but dead. Late today, then saying he supports the idea of now saving these subsidies.
David, this is quite a reversal, but tonight this deal is far from done. It's unclear if Republican leaders on the Hill will support this. And as Congress debates, premiums for Americans could still rise. But the president tonight is already pointing fingers, just tweeting any increase in Obamacare premiums is the fault of the Democrats. David.
Mary Bruce live on the Hill for us again tonight. Thank you, Mary. The president, meantime, standing firm tonight after saying previous presidents did not call the families of the fallen. And the president today brought up his own chief of staff, General John Kelly, whose son died in Afghanistan. General Kelly has indicated in the past to reporters that he did not want to talk publicly about the death of his son. Here's ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega tonight.
Even in the face of mounting criticism, President Trump today defended his claim that other presidents, including President Obama, did not personally call the grieving families of fallen soldiers. The controversy ignited when President Trump finally broke his silence over the deaths of 4 American special ops soldiers killed in Niger. He was asked why, nearly 2 weeks after the deadly siege, he had yet to mention them or their families.
I've written them personal letters. They've been sent or they're going out tonight, but they were written during the weekend.
But then he said this.
The traditional way, if you look at President Obama and other presidents, most of them didn't make calls. A lot of them didn't make calls. I like to call when it's appropriate, when I think I'm able to do it.
He tried to walk it back.
President Obama, I think, probably did sometimes, and maybe sometimes he didn't. I don't know. That's what I was told. All I can do is ask my generals.
But the backlash was immediate. President Obama's attorney general tweeted, "Stop the damn lying, you're the president." An aide to President George W. Bush said he called and/or met privately with hundreds, if not thousands, of grieving families. And some Gold Star families going public with their outrage, too. This mom tweeting, "Trump does not speak for me and did not speak for my son. He is an embarrassment." White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders insisted the president wasn't criticizing predecessors, but stating a fact. But hours later, President Trump once again pointed the finger directly at President Obama, implying he didn't call current White House Chief of Staff John Kelly in 2010 when Kelly's son was killed in Afghanistan.
I mean, you could ask General Kelly, did he get a call from Obama? You could ask other people.
Kelly has repeatedly made it clear to reporters he does not want to talk about his son's death, and he would not go on the record today. But the White House tells us he never got a call from President Obama. Obama aides do not dispute that. But they do say Kelly did attend a White House breakfast for Gold Star families where he sat at the First Lady's table.
And Cecilia Vega with us live tonight from the White House. And Cecilia, you point out it's been nearly 2 weeks since that deadly incident in Niger. We hadn't heard from the president until yesterday on this, and now you're learning tonight that President Trump has now called the families of those special ops soldiers.
David, those calls happened today. We're told the president expressed his condolences. He told these families their son's service would not be forgotten. About those letters that president said he wrote to those families over the weekend, David, we are told by the White House they went out today.
Cecilia Vega with us again tonight. Thank you, Cecilia. We turn next here to stunning new developments after the flood of accusations of sexual misconduct against Harvey Weinstein. Tonight, a woman has now come forward to accuse his brother Bob of sexual harassment and what his lawyer is now saying. And it comes as 2 of Hollywood's biggest movie stars, Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Lawrence, are also now coming forward. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
Tonight, Harvey Weinstein has officially resigned from the board of directors of the Weinstein Company. This after the board fired him last week from his position as co-chairman. Weinstein's lawyer is seen here exiting today's board meeting in New York City.
Was Harvey fired?
Weinstein has sought treatment for his behavior in Arizona, but is still pursuing a claim he was wrongfully fired from the company. Now a woman has come forward to accuse Weinstein's brother, Bob. According to Variety, Amanda Siegel, who worked as a showrunner for the Weinstein Company drama The Mist, Weinstein's brother sexually harassed her in 2016 multiple times. She says he made repeated unwanted romantic overtures to her, including, according to the article, a request that she'd come up to his hotel room and repeated invitations to private dinners even after she had said no. Bob Weinstein's attorney responded, "There is no way in the world that Bob Weinstein is guilty of sexual harassment. And even if you believe what this person asserts, there is no way it would amount to that." Now other Hollywood A-listers are coming forward with their own experiences. Actress Reese Witherspoon spoke out about sexual abuse she says she suffered by a Hollywood director.
A lot of the feelings I've been having about anxiety, about being honest, the guilt for not speaking up earlier, or taking action, true disgust at the director who assaulted me when I was 16 years old.
At the same event, Jennifer Lawrence described how, as a teenager, she was asked to pose in a lineup nearly naked.
The female producer told me I should use the naked photos of myself as inspiration for my diet.
And Lindsay Davis with us tonight. And now the head of Amazon Studios also resigning after allegations of sexual harassment.
That's right. Amazon's Roy Price also resigned today after being put on leave last week after an allegation of sexual harassment, David.
All right, Lindsay Davis on this again tonight. Lindsay, thank you. We turn next year to California. As firefighters make progress on the devastating wildfires, there are now new fires emerging. A wildfire burning in the Santa Cruz Mountains tonight. Families forced to evacuate. 5 firefighters injured. And tonight, a close-up view here of the terrifying hours in that devastating fire in Santa Rosa as flames surrounded a hospital, staff rushing patients to safety. Here's ABC's Clayton Sandell.
Let's go. As a firestorm closed in on Santa Rosa, not even hospitals were safe. Patients, many on gurneys, wheeled to safety. At Sutter Santa Rosa Regional, Nicole Viam was in the middle of giving birth when word came to evacuate all 77 patients. The exodus seen in newly released security video.
You just have a lot of faith. The firemen are going to come, and they could not. They were overwhelmed.
Kelsey Claybrook helped knock down flames, advancing on a huge tank of highly flammable oxygen.
We were afraid that if it hit the tank, the building would go, our guys inside would go, and that would be a real oh no moment.
Dr. Scott Witt raced from home on his motorcycle, helping evacuate 8 babies in intensive care.
We talk and plan about these kind of things, but we don't have to think that often about moving everybody at once.
The staff worked even as many of their own homes, including Dr. Witt's, burned to the ground.
We believe over 30 physicians at this facility lost their homes, as well as over 40 staff members.
Tonight, Nicole, husband Ben, and new son Adrian all doing fine.
So let's get to Clayton Sandell with us live tonight from that hospital in Santa Rosa. And Clayton, some progress on the fires, but still very much a battle there.
It's mostly good news. Containment numbers are up and there is some rain in the forecast. As for that hospital, you can see from this melted sign here just how intense the flames got. But tonight, this hospital, David, is open for business.
Yeah, and they will take the rain after more than a week of this. Clayton Sandell, our thanks to you again tonight. In the meantime, President Trump's latest version of his travel ban now blocked by a federal judge in Hawaii just hours before taking effect at midnight. This version bans people from 6 Muslim-majority countries, plus North Korea and Venezuela. The administration saying these countries have not met new U.S. security standards. But the state of Hawaii claims the ban still aims to exclude Muslims, as the president once promised as a candidate. Overseas tonight, a major milestone in the war against ISIS. U.S.-backed coalition forces on the verge of taking control of Raqqa, the Syrian city the Islamic State calls its capital. But after years of militant control and fierce battle, the devastating toll is very clear tonight. You're about to see it. And as ISIS loses its territory in Syria and Iraq, where does it turn next? Back to the internet? Here's ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell tonight.
Tonight, US-backed forces celebrate a hard-won victory. ISIS fighters now all but driven out from Raqqa. These celebrations in the same square where ISIS took over the city 3 years ago, making it their capital. But look at the ISIS fighters now. Some will be held as specially foreign fighters, but others will be free to rejoin their families. The US provided training, weapons and aerial support. But it's local people who've done the fighting and dying. We joined them this summer as the battle for Raqqa was raging, as they dodged snipers and suicide bombers.
These are the fighters that the US coalition is working with. They are the foot soldiers. We're moving up to their forward base.
Now, women allowed to show their faces on the streets for the first time in years. But the destruction is so vast, it'll take years to rebuild. And more than 6,000 ISIS militants are still out there, ready to go underground, regroup, fight and die.
The celebration's hard fought, but a reminder tonight the group remains a potent force underground, plotting and recruiting online. And ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi already threatening attacks in America, Europe and Russia. David?
Ian Pannell, who's been reporting on ISIS for years. Ian, thank you. There is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Tuesday. The police traffic stop turning violent. The officer seen beating the driver. The officer suspended, accused of excessive force. And now the news coming in tonight about that officer. Also the murder case making national headlines. The husband accused of killing his wife. He claimed he took too much cold medicine. Tonight, what the autopsy has now just revealed. And the new findings on that deadliest hot air balloon crash. We have reported on it here before. What investigators have now revealed about the pilot in that balloon. A lot more news ahead. A police officer now fired for a traffic stop turning violent in Ohio. Video showing that officer beating the driver, hitting him more than a dozen times. Here's ABC's Steve Osunsami.
Oh my God. So he's punching him though.
The Ohio mayor who fired the officer seen in this police dash cam video shared around the world says tonight that Officer Michael Amiot had to go after her phone rang with other complaints regarding Amiot's professional conduct.
I did not like the video that I saw. It saddens me every time I see somebody being treated like that.
Face away from me. Take a look. This is the moment where it all went wrong. Before the videos went viral, a police statement explained that 25-year-old Richard Hubbard ignored the order to face away.
Face away from me. Face away from me.
But take a look again. The young black driver didn't have much time to ignore anything before the beating started.
When I turned around, I was attacked. I did not resist arrest.
Hubbard, who was wounded, was charged with driving on a suspended license and resisting arrest. Charges tonight he's trying to get dropped. The fired officer was involved in another case where he was cautioned for losing his temper and using his gun as an impact weapon. A police union is now arguing tonight that he should get his job back. David?
Steve Osunsami with us tonight. Thanks. When we come back here, the consumer alert tonight. Ford now under pressure to recall more than 1 million vehicles. Popular model. Also tonight, the husband accused of killing his wife, claiming he took too much cold medicine. What the autopsy has now revealed. Marcus Strong, the 6-year-old, and what he did in his front yard. Suddenly, lines of police officers from 2 states.
World News Tonight with David Muir, brought to you by Pacific Life, protecting generations of families for 150 years. That's the power of Pacific.
Knows just what he wants to be when he grows up, a police officer. And his mother tells us the reason is simple.
How they do good things for people, and he said, I want to do good things too.
The local police heard about Oliver, and he was given a temporary badge. And then Oliver had an idea.
Hi, David. I'm Officer Oliver from Kansas City.
His idea to set up a lemonade and donut stand for the entire force right in his front yard. Not sure if they would come, but he was ready. A thumbs up, inviting them all. And one by one, they begin to show up. About 100 officers from 10 different stations across 2 states stopping at Oliver's stand. Handshakes and fist bumps. Those officers grateful. And it wasn't just the little officer asking for photos. Members of the force wanted them too. And then a lift and a hug from a more veteran officer waiting for Oliver